Kat's been on vacation. We're so glad to have her back. I told her I really miss her. What is on your mind this morning? What's on your mind? Do you even know? When was the last time that you took a pause to think about what you're thinking about? You know, we live in a world where we are bombarded by a million things that we're supposed to be doing, or that we think we're supposed to be doing. Constantly in this activity and this frenzy and this overload. Our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, once said that the mind, like the bowels, should be open and free. Think about that for a moment. The mind, like the bowels, should be open and free. That things should move through us. How many of us feel like we have a congested mind? We have too much on our minds. Ever feel like you have too much on your mind? Absolutely. I believe that that was one of the reasons Charles Fillmore taught us that one of our spiritual capacities is the capacity for release. That he knew that just like our bodies sometimes hold on to things, and anyone that's ever had constipation knows how miserable that can be, right? Or retains fluid, what that's like to be all swollen and to be retaining everything. That he knew that our human tendency is for us to do the same thing with our minds. To hold on to things, to put too much in, and not to allow things to flow through. And that it is truly only through the power of release that our other spiritual capacity, life, can flow through. That we have to be an open vessel in order for life to fill us, in order for us to be truly present to what's going on around us. And so this morning, I want you to think about how to recognize, activate, and develop the power of release in order to be reductive instead of productive. Now, let me give you an example of that, because that's really a foreign concept to most of us, this idea of reductivity. Walk into anybody's garage and you'll find plenty of evidence of that, right? So I had the great privilege of being able to attend the Global Leadership Summit on Thursday and Friday, which was held over at the Coliseum. And during those 2 days, leaders in industry, all types of industry from all over the world, spoke to us, sharing with us their wisdom, their experience, and their skills around developing excellent leadership. So by the end of the first day, I had a little notebook they gave us, and my notebook was full of to-dos for Tuesday morning. Whole list of to-dos. By the middle of the second day, I got to spend some time with Amanda Eshelman. And so I run into her and I go running up to her, Amanda, I have to work full time starting tomorrow. And she gave me that wide-eyed look. Then she kind of paused and gave me a little sideways smile. So Glenda, tell me what your thinking is around that. And so I began to tell her that there's so many things that we could be doing to have this great, excellent, efficient leadership team. And there's so many things that we could implement in the church that would make us vibrant and alive and grow us. And wow. And she took a deep breath. She remembered what one of our speakers said. She said, wow. And then she said, maybe what you might want to do is take that list, just pick out one thing, just one thing on the list, and maybe think about putting that one thing into place next week, and just kind of see how that goes. Reductivity versus productivity. Reducing our activity. Reducing our activity. Our busyness, our doingness. One of my favorite speakers, probably just because she spoke to me and my personality, was a woman named Juliet Funt, who is the founder of an organization called White Space in the Workforce. Excellent, delightful lady. And she talked about how we are living in this time of scarcity, that we have created a culture of scarcity, where we think there is not enough time, there's not enough resources, there is not enough. There's not enough. How many of you feel like there's not enough hours in the day? That you can't possibly do everything that you need to do. You just can't get it all done. And she says that out of this need, out of this drive, this culture of scarcity, we have found the solution. The solution is to be more productive. In fact, don't we say, I want to be a productive citizen? So-and-so should be a productive citizen. We think that if we produce more, then we'll have more. But the problem is that the more we have, the more we think we need. Because along with that culture of scarcity, we have developed this culture of insatiability. One of the things that she spoke to me, was that there are thieves of time. That there is, because of this need to produce, because of this insatiability within us, that there are these forces that are now stealing our time. That our time is under attack. And when she looked at what it is that's taking our time, she was amazed by what she found. And maybe you will be too. The 4 thieves of time are drive, excellence, information, and activity. Now, some of you are thinking, but wait a minute. If I don't have the oomph to get things done, nothing will ever get done. I have to have drive. For those of us in the workforce, excellence gets us a paycheck. Excellence is what lets us stay. In fact, we get a performance evaluation every year that just tells us how excellent we are or are not. Right? And information, we live in a world where we're trying to keep up. Like there's constantly new information. And we have this need to understand what's going on. And activity, well, how else is things going to get done if somebody doesn't do them? Right? But the problem is that we have taken these 4 things and we have put them into overdrive. As a consciousness, as a collective consciousness, we have produced this environment that tells us we have to do more, be more, have more, get more, do more, be more, have more. And in that kind of culture, in that state of consciousness, drive becomes overdrive. Excellence becomes perfection. Information becomes information overload. Anybody ever feel like you got way too much? When I have way too much, I give it to Jane. You have to read this and just cut to the chase. Just tell me what it says, right? Information overload. And activity becomes frenzy. Now, if you don't believe we're living in a frenzied state, visit a grocery store. Visit any place where there are massive amounts of people. Everybody's in a hurry. While I was at the Global Summit, just this whole thing of activity and distraction, I was coming back from lunch, and there was this young man with his backpack on, smartly dressed, and he's walking, and he's got his earphones in, and he's got his phone out, and there were these big pylons that had the handicap parking. He's walking along, and I'm going, oh, he's not. Boom! Right into that pylon, and then he kind of like, where did that come from? And real sheepish, and he gets all red, and I went over to him because I whacked it pretty hard. Are you okay? And he said, I am. He said, apparently I wasn't listening to the whole being distracted thing that Juliet had talked about, So, it sounds like from the surface, we think of these things as only being within the context of employment. But one of the things that Juliet said to us was that these thieves are alive and well in our own homes. I had to think about that for a minute. In our own homes. And when I took a minute to hit the pause button of my own mind and kind of reflect on that, overdrive. So for those of you who do not know, it's been made clear to me by the board that they intend to keep me. And Jane and I have decided that we're going to stay. And so we've been out house hunting. So we've been out house hunting. So this is the way my life works in overdrive. Go to church, give a great service, greet everybody, and instead of going home, you get in your car, you meet your realtor, and you visit 15 houses in 3 hours. When you're done, you don't even remember where the houses were at, right? That's overdrive. That we got to get it done. We got to get it done. We're going to see as many houses as possible, as much time as possible. We're going to get it done. Nobody else like that is here. Right? I'm alone. I thought I was. I begin to think about perfectionism, and Jane is already chuckling. I have this thing about the dishwasher, right? I believe that a dishwasher should be loaded for maximum amount of dishes to reach the absolute best potential for clean dishes. And I thought about that, and I thought, that is the thief of perfectionism, stealing my time. Because Jane will load the dishwasher, she's very good at loading the dishwasher. And then I will come right behind her and reorganize it all. Because it needs to be perfect. Judy's laughing. She's got that too, don't you? Yeah, that perfectionism. Yeah, other people. How much time do we lose trying to do it perfect? Whether it is clean our house, whether it is a project we're working on, or loading the dishwasher. How much time is stolen from us because of our own perfectionism? And then information overload. Sometimes I fall into the Facebook black hole. Anybody else ever been there? It's like you gotta know what everybody said about every little thing, and you gotta like them, right? That's the whole purpose of Facebook, I think, I don't know. Or we really want the best deal on something, and so we'll spend hours on the internet researching what everybody said about every little product and who has the best price, and this one offers free shipping, but this one offers it at $5 less, and this one you can get Ebates on, and whew, information overload. The time we could be spending doing what we love and with the people we love if we weren't in information overload. And activity. You know, even if you are not in the workforce, if you observe your children and your grandchildren and other people around you, you can't help but notice that we overbook, we overextend, we overwork. That we are constantly doing something somewhere with someone. There's always something to do. These thieves not only steal our time, they steal our life. And I'm not talking about human life, right? The baby that's born, the way that we move. I'm talking about life, our spiritual capacity for life. So life as one of our divine qualities. Life is about animation, right? It's about smiling and laughing and animation. It's about vitality. And I don't know about you, but I've noticed I'm a lot more tired than I've ever been in my life. And I don't think it's got anything to do with the fact I had a birthday. Like, all this activity, I'm exhausted sometimes. You know, that life force within us gives us vitality. And the other thing that spiritual capacity of life gives us is presence. The ability to be present. One of the stories that Juliet shared with us touched me in such a deep way that I've spent the last 2 or 3 days reevaluating how much longer I'm going to let these thieves steal my time and steal my life. She said she had given a talk at a conference, and a woman came up to her with tears in her eyes, and she said, I want to tell you how I overcame the thieves. She said, and it happened a long time ago. She said, I was a young girl, and my dad came in from outside. He'd been working outside, and he came in. It was an afternoon, and he scooped me up in his arms, and he said, it's a beautiful day. We should go for an old-fashioned joyride. We'll pack a picnic basket, we'll load up in the car, and we'll just drive around and not have any place to go. And we'll pull over the side of the road someplace nice, and we'll have us a little picnic, and we'll just enjoy this beautiful day. And the girl, she was so excited because, you know, her dad worked, and her dad worked at home when he wasn't working at his job, and just the thought of having a little bit of time with just dad. You know, all of his attention. What all of us want as children. And so he scooped her up and he carried her into the other room where the mother was. And they said, Mom, we got this great idea. And so they told their mom about the idea. And Mom said, oh, I'm way too busy for that. I've just got too much to do around here. I couldn't possibly go on a joyride with you. But you know what? You guys go on and you have a great time. So that girl went with her father, and she said even to this day, it is one of her favorite memories. They had a great time. They watched the birds. They stopped and looked at the trees, and they found this beautiful meadow, and they had lunch together. And it was just like the day just stretched on and on. And they didn't go home until the sun went down. 2 days later, that father dropped dead of a heart attack. And that woman told Juliet, she said, to this very day, my mother still talks about the joyride that she missed. And she said, I made a decision when I had my own children that I would never miss a joyride again. Never. Would never miss another joyride. What joyrides have you been missing? What beautiful sunsets have you not seen? What beautiful little kisses from little hands and little faces have you not had time for? What are the joyrides that you're missing? Because as many of us in this room can attest to, but often forget, is that we never know when that opportunity will be gone from us forever. We don't know. We have no way of knowing. I believe that it is only by activating the power of release that we can put the thieves away. That is only by our own willingness to let go of our perfectionism, to let go of being in overdrive, to let go of thinking that we always have to be moving and doing, that we can reclaim those thieves. Juliet said, you can't do it all at once, right? This is a culture we live in. This is a culture that we have created. And so to think that we could walk away from it all is really not reality. That we're going to become so spiritual that we won't ever have to meet the standards of someone else. Not going to happen. But there are some things that you can do. Juliet said we should ask ourselves 4 questions. The first question is, what can I let go of? I would say not can, but willing. What am I willing to let go of? So that I can be present to life. What am I willing to let go of? What's the one thing I'm willing to let go of? I had, back in the fall of last year, I had this really awesome conversation with Steve McAfee. And we were talking about different masters, different teachers that had influenced us. And I made a decision to start practicing Sabbath on Monday, just to try it out, to see what it would be like. And then at the first of the year, I made a commitment that Monday would be my Sabbath. So a true Sabbath is one in where you do not answer text messages. You do not answer your cell phone. You do not look at your email. But a true Sabbath, a time to be still, to rest my body, to rest my mind, a time to connect. And I'm going to tell you, some Mondays I do that better than others, right? Some Mondays I'm better at it than others. But when I started taking Sabbath on Mondays, people got upset. People got really frustrated with me. They got really frustrated because they would send me an email about work and I wouldn't answer it. And so then they would text me to ask me if I'd read the email. And then when that didn't work, they would text someone else and ask them the question. Or they would call and leave me a voicemail to ask me if I'd gotten the text that referenced the email that I didn't answer. Right? Think about that for a moment. To think about that. How unaware we've become to how attached we are to technology. Like this whole thing with Juliet made me so aware of how even in conversation, so I can be at dinner with someone, or I can just be standing in a parking lot talking to someone, and the minute that phone vibrates, theirs or mine, I look at it, and if they don't, you can see them twitch. You know, gotta see who called. Little alarm goes off for the text. Hang on a minute. All right, gotta text it back. I've been in the grocery store, and I've noticed that even in the grocery store, the cashier can be checking you out, and there will be people on their phones texting because we can't wait. We've created this immediacy. Juliet Funt calls it the sprint of reactive busyness. That we are like constantly reacting to the stimuli. And so I found that to be true. And so in my effort to take Sabbath Monday, one of the things that had to happen for me is I have had to learn to sit in my own anxiety. Because one of my greatest thieves is that P word, perfectionism, as the mask of excellence. See, I like to be excellent. You know, I like people to think that I am the best at what I do. And in some cases, I am the best at what I do. And so I want to be the best minister in the world, right? And so that's overdrive, right? That's perfectionism with a big P. So I can't hardly tolerate it when people think I'm not paying attention to them because it's Monday and I haven't answered them. It's really hard. It makes me really anxious. What if they think I'm a bad minister? What if they think I'm not doing my job? What if they think I'm not there for them? So I've had to learn. Part of this letting go is I've had to learn to sit in my own anxiety and be willing to let go of everybody else's agenda, what everybody else thinks. Just let go and be present for me. To be present for me. So what can I let go of? The second question she asked is, when is enough enough? When is enough? When is good enough? I'm sorry. When is good enough good enough? When is it okay if there are socks in the middle of my floor? When is it okay that the dishwasher is not loaded properly? When is good enough good enough? When can I let go and just call it good? Did the best I could, I'll walk away now. When is good enough good enough? And the third one is, how much do I really need to know? How much do I really need to know? Do I really need to know what 10 of my Facebook friends fixed for dinner? No. Do I really need to know the political opinions of the 20 other people that aren't really my friends but somehow got connected to Facebook? No. What do I really need to know? And the fourth question, I wish that I could tell you. But it just so happened that at that part of the speech, I got a very important text asking me if I needed cardboard boxes for my move. And I couldn't possibly let that text wait 2 seconds or 5 minutes till the break. I had to tell them right back, oh yes, of course I need cardboard boxes. Well, what size do you need? Well, let me tell you. Do you need paper? Well, let me think about that. Yeah, I probably need some paper. Yeah, and then I was like, what'd she say? What'd she say? I totally missed it. So you know I'm preaching to me this morning, right? You thought this was about you, it's not. I'm really preaching about it. What I have decided, my fourth question is, because I'm way too embarrassed to ask the 3 people that were sitting with me what the fourth question was. I've decided that my fourth question is, when and where do I hit the pause button? When and where am I going to